Welcome to the What's Happening Birmingham video podcast.
Hello, everyone. This is Jarvis Scott with What's Happening Birmingham today. Got the honor and I will say special pleasure of welcoming back Alabama Secretary of State John Merrill. Secretary Merrill, thank you for coming on today.
Jarvis, always good to be with you, my friend.
Great. I need to bring you on to talk about privilege taxes one day, but I know you're really busy this election season.
Yes, but you know, the governor just signed a bill today to give $23 million back to the people of Alabama by changing that privilege tax forever. So we're excited about that because that's a benefit to the people of our state.
Oh, yes, and special business owners, we know we get that every year to pay that. And if you don't pay that, interest carries on.
That's right.
So I want to talk with the Secretary of State today about the 2022 primary elections and the runoff elections coming up real soon on May 24th and June 21st.
Yes, sir.
First off, what's any new election laws?
Jarvis, nothing that really changes the process for any voter that's just trying to see, is there going to be something different or unique than we've had before? Of course, in absentee voting, we'll go back to the 10 reasons to vote absentee when you're making your absentee application, as opposed to every voter being able to mark the same reason for voting absentee. I'm ill or infirmed or unable to appear at my polling site on election day. But one of those 10 reasons will suffice when people get ready to mark their absentee application so they can get their ballot and vote prior to election day when appropriate.
So what are the deadlines for voting by absentee this time?
Great question, Jarvis. The first thing that a voter needs to know is that they need to be a registered voter. And in order to be a registered voter, we have right up until May the 10th to register to vote so you can participate in the absentee process or voting in person on election day on May the 24th. Now, the absentee process deadlines are as follows. Ballots began to be available last week. They'll be available through the application process by mail right up until the 17th of May. Now, up until the 19th of May, people can go to the absentee election manager's office and actually apply in person. And then they can return their ballots in person up until close of business on May 23rd, the day before the election. If they're returning them by mail, they have to be received by the absentee election manager, the circuit clerk, by noon on election day.
Okay, and one thing I guess we started before this election started about, you said the sample ballots are now available.
Sample ballots are available on our website at alabamavotes.gov. So any voter can go to our website, they can put in the correct information, and they can find the ballot that they'll be voting on election day.
Okay, so one thing I noticed when I visited on your website, you can actually register to vote online.
Absolutely. At alabamavotes.gov. Or, Jarvis, you can do it on your phone by downloading the mobile app at Vote for Alabama, and you can register on the phone. The only credential necessary for you to be able to vote, register to vote electronically, is a valid Alabama driver's license.
Okay. I want to move over to like the voting ID. Has anything changed?
No. And if someone needs a valid voter ID, they can get it today, any day up until they can get it election day if they need it. They just have to make sure they go to the Board of Registrar's office that will be producing those, but we'll have mobile unit availability between now and election day for those voters that are in need.
Okay, I want to go back up a few moments about absentee. I know we missed, but these people vote a lot, these groups, military and overseas. Is there a different for that?
Yes. Now, those individuals can actually vote electronically. They need to notify the absentee election manager that they want to participate in the process. Then they'll be able to receive their ballot mailed to them electronically or hard copy whichever they prefer. And then there are other deadlines that they adhere to that are different than the ones that you and I adhere to.
Okay. Now I'm gonna go forward, kind of sort of to the day of the elections. Are there any other? I know, we did this last time. We was doing in the middle of a pandemic.
Right.
Is there any more pandemic restrictions, or those restrictions?
No, there's no restrictions because we're not under any medical orders now for those restricted purposes.
What about for the handicap? Any other special things?
No, the main thing to be known is if you're 70 years of age or older, or if you're encumbered by mobility issues, you can go to the front of the line. Just state that when you arrive at your polling place in any one of the 1,980 polling sites, you'll be able to vote as soon as you arrive.
So hypothetically speaking, on May 24th, if I show up at around 6:30 and the line is
let's say that you show up at 6:59 p.m. Okay. And then there's a line that's got 300 people in it when you get there at 6:59 p.m. Then if it takes you until 9 o'clock to vote, then you're going to be able to stay in line until 9 o'clock to vote. But Jarvis, look, this is the thing that needs to be understood. If there's any one of our 1,980 polling sites in the state that it takes more than 20 minutes to vote, there's a problem with election administration in that county. Because with the electronic poll books that we have, it's reduced the wait time 60 to 70%, depending on who's working the polls and who the voter is. But there's no need to have to wait more than 20 minutes, no matter who you are, no matter where you vote. So if you're waiting more time than that, there's a problem with the way they're doing the elections at that polling site.
Okay, and I'm glad you brought that up. Another thing that happens a lot on election day is people end up going to one precinct and they think, for reasons one or another, they may move and they didn't move to a different location.
Jarvis, you can lead a horse to water, son, but you can't make them drink. Now, let me tell you something. If somebody's got a question about where they vote, they don't need to wait till election day and then be confused. They need to do it today. They can go online at alabamavotes.gov, or they can go to our mobile app at Vote for Alabama. They can see their positions they'll be voting for, and they can see where they vote and the address of that location. So they don't have any questions or concerns. And if they have questions or concerns on election day, that's on them, my brother.
So they shouldn't be trying to, we're not in a time window that they could change their voting precinct right now.
That's not going to happen between today and election day.
Okay, I'm glad you brought that up. So, because a lot of times people feel like, let me change the precinct. And then they have to get into, what's that ballot? That's kind of like the
provisional ballot.
Provisional ballot, yeah.
Yes.
To make sure they're covered.
That's right.
Another thing I saw on the website, Alabama Votes, is something about the Fair Ballot Commission. Statewide.
It's not a new thing. It's something that is introduced each and every time there is an election that has a constitutional amendment on it. So there will be a constitutional amendment on the ballot May 24th. It will appear at the end of the ballot. After all the other races have been voted. It's amendment number 1. It's an amendment from conservation. It's to allow the state to borrow up to $85 million in bond issues, which will allow them to reinvest that money in the park system. There is no cost to the state for that. It simply allows them to be able to borrow that money over a period of time in order to make sure that they can meet the needs of upgrading the parks to a standard that will be watched and monitored by the Department of Conservation.
Okay, one thing I'm glad, since I've got like you said, got the head person on that can answer any election question here that's going on in our upcoming elections. Is there any myths or anything you've heard that you want to clear up about the voting process here in Alabama? Well,
Jarvis, the main thing that you need to know and that all your viewers and listeners need to know is that for the last 7 years, 2 months, and 18 days, we've done everything we could to make it easy to vote and hard to cheat in Alabama. And we're going to continue to do that until January the 16th of next year when I leave office. So if they see anything that concerns them, if they hear anything that concerns them, they need to call 334-328-2787. 334-328-2787. That's not the switchboard. That's not the number at the desk. That's my cell phone, Jarvis. So they will get me directly whenever they call, and we'll take care of meeting their needs or addressing their concerns.
Okay. I know we kind of covered a lot of things, but I just, I guess we covered just about everything. I'm just trying to think.
Jarvis, look, you know you can call me anytime. It's always a privilege to visit with you. We want to make sure that your viewers and listeners have their questions answered, because we work for the people of Alabama, all 5 million of them, and we're going to continue to do that. We want each and every eligible U.S. citizen that's a resident of this state to be registered to vote and have a photo ID. 96%, Jarvis, of all eligible African Americans in Alabama are registered to vote. 91% of all eligible whites are registered to vote, and 94% of all eligible Alabamians are registered to vote. So we want to make sure they get out and exercise their right to vote on May 24th.
Now, in this election, I want to make sure too that there's no cross-party voting on this.
That is correct. Jarvis, okay. You need to remind your viewers and listeners that once the election process begins on May 24th, and they choose a primary ballot, either for the Democrats or for the Republicans, they can vote for the candidate or candidates of their choice, but then they have to stay with that party affiliation in the runoff. And then in the general election, of course, they can vote for any candidate they choose from either party.
Okay.
Now, there's a third option that I didn't mention, Jarvis, which is if somebody chooses to just vote on the constitutional amendment that I mentioned earlier, they can do that, and they would not be obligated to support a particular party.
And okay, like you said too, the runoff on the 21st, that's like 3 or 4 weeks later.
4 weeks. And if you vote in the Democratic primary, in the primary on May 24th, then if you vote again on June 21st, you have to vote Democratic.
Okay. Another thing I want to add too is like this year elections coming up. Like I know a lot of the things you probably get a lot of reports, a lot of action happens on the outside sometimes. Is there any new regulations as far as like, you may handle a lot of ballots and how far can somebody come up to the, okay.
No, that distance, Jarvis, is 30 feet. It remains 30 feet.
Okay.
People want to take dinner on the ground and eat at the polls, just tell me where they'll be and I'll be by to get a plate.
Okay. All right.
Okay. If anybody wants to pass out water, I need to know where they'll be because I need to have a Gatorade. Okay. I make sure that people know they can do whatever they want to enhance the experience of the voting electorate on May 24th.
Okay. Well, I want to thank you for coming on today. Secretary Merrill, always a pleasure. And I especially love that good news about that privilege tax. Are they going to do now, if you paid the privilege tax this year, will there be a refund?
You know better than that, Jarvis. But they won't be collecting it anymore, my friend, and that's the benefit.
Okay, well, that's a good thing. That's a good thing. So, yeah, because that tax can pile up real quick.
That's right.
Well, thank you again for coming on. Probably bring you back on, for the general elections or even runoff if some people have some questions.
Jarvis, you let me know. It's always a delight, my friend.
All right. Well, thank you all again for watching. Please check out what'shappenedbirmingham.com for more interviews. Don't forget to subscribe to the YouTube channel. And I'm on Apple Podcasts now, everyone. So listen for the audio version. Thank you all again. Have a great day. Bye-bye.
Thank you for watching the What's Happening Birmingham video podcast. Please check out our website, app, or subscribe to our YouTube channel for the latest videos today.